And now, the only cure for our basketball Jones. Hail Varsity's Jacob Padilla on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Baby. All right, Jacob Padilla joins us now. Jacob Padilla, he of Hurrdat Sports, joins us on the 42 Degrees The Source hotline. Jacob, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Connor. I'm doing well.
Looked like a fun little get together at Let It Fly last night, and then Francisco Farabello called, and everybody freaked out. And he was like, "Guys, it's okay. It's just Francisco. He wanted to check on me." That was how was the false alarm?
Yeah, it was a fun night. Got to say, it did start to get a little tense the last 5 to 7 picks of the draft. As other names started going off, started to get a little worried there, especially when past a couple of the teams that had been connected to him in the pre-draft with mocks and everything. But I think all of us there, I was like, so what happened?
what if this doesn't happen?
Yeah. Then what do we do? But yeah, no, it ended up working out well. Sound like he had heard from Boston, like that they absolutely loved him, and just figured that he wouldn't be there at 30 because they thought he'd go earlier. So I think that was kind of probably always in the back of his mind, but you never know. Like unless it's like a flat out promise, hey, we are taking you. You never quite know what, oh yeah, we absolutely love you means,
right?
Depending on who else is going to be there. But no, Boston loved him enough to take him there, and I think he's a really good fit for them.
Take me back to the first time you saw Baylor Scheierman play basketball in Aurora. I love, by the way, all of the pictures that I saw last night of him in an Aurora uniform, and like how long ago that was, and he's still like that player. You could see how that would grow into what he ended up becoming in a Creighton uniform, and now into the NBA. But like this journey has been really, really cool. It's a great Nebraska story for the last 7 to 10 years now.
Yeah, I think maybe his sophomore year it was when like Aurora was pretty good, and he was this kid out here like just launching from anywhere, no conscience whatsoever, and making a few highlight reel passes or whatever, and like I was like, oh, who's this kid? And kind of from there he ended up playing OSA at the highest level, and kind of developing into what he became. But yeah, it was kind of like, who the heck is this kid? Because they had other good players on that team, and now he definitely drew my interest at that point. So it's been kind of cool seeing him over the years, where kind of a piece on a really good team there, and then became the guy as his high school career played out, and then went to South Dakota State and did what he did there, became one of the best mid-major players in the country, then came to Creighton, had a good year, and then came back and became one of the best players in the country, period. And now he got to hear his name in the first round of the NBA draft. It's kind of cool, just since I've been doing this, Kyrie Thomas, Justin Patton, Baylor Scheierman, just some of the guys that I've covered in high school that ended up going on and making it to the NBA.
How great of a story is it for not just Mac, obviously, but college basketball coaches in general to say, here's a really good example of a guy that, just kind of figured it out, whether it be his career at South Dakota State, and he tested the waters after that year, then tested the waters again, and probably knew after the year at South Dakota State that he was going to end up in college, obviously, but like the player that he has turned himself into over the last couple years, when he could have gone into the NBA at a variety of different points. Like I imagine this will be a great selling point for Mac, and seriously, like college coaches everywhere say, look at what this guy turned himself into by coming back to school.
No doubt. I guarantee that'll be something that Greg McDermott brings up in conversations with prospective recruits down the line. And credit to Baylor, who made really good decisions every step of the way. Obviously, he didn't have a ton of options coming out of high school, but managed to earn the offer from South Dakota State, which ended up being a great fit for him. Made the most of his 3 years there. Then kind of went to testing the waters and took the feedback and decided to come back to college and show the NBA kind of what they were hoping to see from him. And obviously he had some of the best programs in the country interested in him as a transfer. He pretty much could have gone anywhere. But decided, you know what, Creighton's got everything that I need. It's a great fit for what I want to do and what I want to show, in addition to having the kind of the home state deal there as a nice little bonus. So landed at Creighton and, again, made the most of it there. I mean, the decision to not even test the draft, to just immediately announce, I'm coming back, and spend that time just working on his game, work on his body, just showed a great level of self-awareness and an understanding of, all right, this is what gives me the best chance to accomplish my dreams. And I think that's really impressive and kind of cool, the way that it turned out and the way that decision and hard work paid off. And now ended up going in the first round, which I don't know that anybody saw before this past season.
I found it interesting that, like, and obviously some of this is the franchises that these two guys went to, but Scheierman and Dalton Connect, who go to the Lakers and the Celtics respectively, obviously they get talked about because they go to those franchises. But like I've seen some of the reactions from kind of outside of the bubble of college basketball, and in the NBA bubble a little bit. It's like, wow, I mean, these are pretty good players and they should be excited about them. Those guys are, they have very, very similar stories. They're similar players and they have very similar stories. So in a draft that was not heavy at all, very light on, superstar potential talent, I like the way that those teams sort of, approached it, where it's like, hey, look, this guy is produced. It's a lot less of a flyer for us. There was a lot of flyers in this draft, and that's kind of what it was always going to be. But I kind of like the teams who ended up going with some guys who have produced and have figured it out throughout their, whether it's, probably lengthy college careers at this point. Doesn't necessarily say what kind of players they're going to be, but in terms of immediate impact, I mean, you would think that those guys are two of them that are going to be pretty close to the top of the list.
Yeah, it's always like the draft is so
it's hard,
inexact, and rookies in general, no matter what their age, don't often come in and have a positive impact right away if they play at all. So like that, just like draft the old guy because he can play right away, doesn't always work out that way.
Definitely,
those guys often, they usually have some things figured out a little bit more than some of the rookies that may help them in that regard. But it's all, you never know with a rookie. Those guys got to get in there. That's kind of the sweet spot of drafting and deciding, all right, at what point do you value just the straight production? Do you value an older prospect? Because there is something to guys at 22, 23 years old and the way that they perform in college basketball compared to 19-year-olds. Like, that is a significant advantage for those guys with the amount of time that they developed physically and their skill sets, the experience they have. So, yeah, you would expect those guys to be more productive. So kind of where is it? All right, this is outlier productive compared to this young guy that kind of has the upside, like a Reed Shepherd versus a Dalton Connect. Kind of Reed obviously has the insane analytical indicators there, just like what he did at Kentucky this season is really impressive. But like Connect was 20-point game scorer, one of the, people had him top 2-3 on their player of the year ballot, right behind Edey. And so it's just kind of figuring out, all right, where, or a guy like Jared McCain, who went shortly before him, another guy that, again, as a freshman, put up really impressive numbers. Like if he had played 5 years of college ball, where would he have been in that fifth year compared to what Connect accomplished? So, it's you got to just kind of decide, all right, what do we value most, and finding that sweet spot in the draft of kind of, all right, this is the point where it makes most sense to draft this guy compared to this guy is kind of what it's all about. And it's very hard to do correctly, as we see every single year in the draft with the guys that succeed and don't.
I know you were listening to our very immersive NBA draft preview yesterday. Who are the players that we don't know about that you thought landed in a pretty good spot and could eventually end up being impactful in the NBA?
Let's see here. There's some wild picks I will say there, based on kind of the thought process going in. Let's see here. This is the second round. All right. Not surprising at the top. All those picks kind of made sense. Like Reed Shepherd in Houston with their other pieces is a really interesting fit. Just dude come in there and shoot absolute lights out, and you've got some other defensive pieces. You got, I think he and Amin Thompson could be a really nice duo. You got Jabari Smith there on the back line defensively. Like you got Shepherd playing off of Şengün. I think that's got a chance to be a really good fit for him. And still a little curious about how does it translate to the NBA? Just like this guy is an outlier. Like guys his size should not have been as good as the things he was good at as he was in terms of defensively and getting steals and being able to create stuff as a small, he's not really a point guard. At least it doesn't seem like it. We'll see kind of what on-ball equity he has, but with the guys on that Houston team, doesn't have to be necessarily the kind of the primary point guard all the time. I think Rob Dillingham to Minnesota, that trade that they made, that was really interesting. They pushed the can down the line, trade a couple of future picks, so they managed to keep their second pick in this draft to add another piece that could help them out. Ended up being Terrence Shannon Jr. That was I think a really good move for them. Curious, I guess San Antonio just didn't love Dillingham or any of the other pieces there to make that move. Like it seems weird that they're betting on Minnesota being bad at that point. I don't know. It's just kind of really surprising when I saw the details of the trade or whatever for San Antonio. But yeah, Dillingham's a guy that can come in there, cannot defend a lick, but is an absolute bucket. So sending him to the team with the best defense in the league and the best backline rim protection to learn behind Mike Conley as kind of their backup point guard initially, and then we'll see if he can kind of be the successor at that point. I think that's a really good bet for them, and he's got a chance to be really fun up there with Anthony Edwards.
What do you think the outlook is for Trey tonight?
Yeah, I really have no idea. Like you ask, I mean, you look around, there are places that don't have him at all. There are places that have him. I mean, Sam Vecini moved him up from like 49 to 39 in his draft yesterday. Like that was interesting because he had been at 49 for a few kind of mocks in a row. So you kind of wonder what led to that move in his mind. Did he hear something, or did he just reevaluate kind of that range of the draft? I don't know. So I think he could really. Not going to be shocked if he doesn't get picked, but I think there's probably some teams out there that do value kind of what he's shown throughout his career. Like it's not a sure thing for by any means, but like he's shown he can be a really good off-ball player and shot the ball really well his sophomore year playing off another point guard. And then he showed he can be really productive as more of kind of the on-ball guy. And developed a little bit more with his rebounding and playmaking this past year. So the question is kind of how many of those pieces can he put together moving forward? Because it didn't, some of the playmaking came along, but the shooting wasn't quite there this past year. How much stronger can he get? Can you add more muscle to the frame to kind of unlock a little bit more in his creating ability? So it's I think it'll come down to if the teams in the right range end up valuing what he showed and believe that they can get more out of him. It's just with this one, like with Baylor, it kind of felt the 22 to 30 range. Like there are a lot of teams there that he had worked out for, or that had shown it and that had been connected to him in some ways, and it seemed like would be a good fit. Trey, I have no idea. I think his range is basically the entire second round into undrafted. I don't think we'll hear him in the first 10 picks or so, just based on some of the guys that did fall. There's some wild picks that ended up pushing some guys down.
Yep.
But I think those last 20 picks of the draft, or I guess only 8. They're only 58 this year because of the tampering stuff. So that's,
That's right.
not quite a full 30 in the second round. But I mean, the last 2/3 of the draft, I think, is kind of when we get into Trey range. And then if he doesn't, I would expect him to be kind of one of the priority undrafted free agent types that teams reach out to.
We'll find out this afternoon, by the way, a little afternoon draft.
3:00 local time.
3:00.
And
Also,
the picks go a little bit quicker. I don't think it's going to be 4 hours to get through.
That's good.
Picks. That was fine.
Also, does this need to be a 2-day event?
I guess we'll see how it goes today. I mean, by the end of yesterday, I was glad that it was over.
Me too.
So from that aspect, you don't necessarily need to be a 6-hour event if that's the amount of time that they're going to kind of have the draft go. Then let's break this thing up. I'll be curious to see how they handle it on TV and kind of what they make of it. Like, is it going to be
They're just talking about Brownie the whole time.
Yeah. It's like, if that's what it's going to be, then might have to just put it on mute. But yeah, I'll be curious to see kind of what they do with it and what changes maybe they make, like how they evaluate this coming out of the first year to try to make it the best event possible. The problem, I think, one thing that they maybe need to really reevaluate moving forward, if it's going to be a 2-day draft, is the green room invites. They sent out they had 24 guys invited to the draft, and not all of them got picked.
Yeah.
So if it's going to be like, you don't want to show up, invite these guys, and then, because like the day 2 isn't even at the same place. It's just like in the NBA TV studios or whatever. So
I'd decline. I would just say no thanks. I'm not going to the green room. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have a green room for day 2. So like those guys, like that's a bad look when you and guys that don't end up going. Not, and I'm sure it's not enjoyable for them. Not great look for the league. So maybe cut back a little bit. I know you want to have as many of those guys there as possible, just for the kind of to get the shot of him with the commissioner and the phone call and sharing with the family and all that stuff. But if it's going to be 2 days, I think they need to be a little bit more selective and cut back on the number of those.
All right, Jacob. Good to talk as always. Appreciate your coverage. Hope Trey goes this afternoon. That way you got something else to kind of write about and get through. But if not, appreciate it as always. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys.
That's Jacob Padilla of Herd at Sports, who was at the very long, but it paid off, the Baylor Scheierman draft party last night.
This just in.
Is it about Bronny?
No, it's about Baylor Scheierman.
Okay.
From the Pat McAfee show.
Oh, great. I couldn't see it.
And I quote,
all right.
The Boston Celtics got a junkyard dog in the NBA draft last night.
Who said that?
Pat McAfee. Baylor, he's the only one that talks on that show.
I'll tell you what, when I need NBA draft analysis and college basketball analysis,
you go to a former NFL punter?
That's my guy.
Baylor Scheierman is a walking bucket.
To be fair, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's right. I have the same take. Me and Pat McAfee, handshake meme.
Oh, maybe it was Boston Connor that sent.
Oh, I bet it was Boston Connor.
Which makes sense.
Catch me never being Boston Connor. All right. Back after this here on 1620 The Zone.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?